Hey, thanks for playing GoVenture. GoVenture is a very comprehensive simulation-based training program for learning personal financial literacy and investing. It includes a number of resources and components. It's a very detailed program, and I'm going to review each of these components and resources with you to help you understand how to navigate the program and which resources may be best for you. Now, the order in which you might complete the resources and the ones you might choose to complete will be based on how you approach this course. So you may be taking this program as part of a self-directed course where you kind of choose on your own what you'd like to do, or is guided by some curriculum. You may also be taking this as part of a course that's led by a teacher, instructor, or trainer, and in that case that individual will direct you as to what individual resources and components you should complete. So I'm going to just review all of them with you. So when you first log in to GoVenture, you're going to see this dashboard. Now this is your personal dashboard, and you can see in the upper left here there's a My Profile option. You can click on that and actually set your name and change the little avatar that represents you and so on. We can also see a question mark button that gives you access to learning guides, tutorials, and help. You'll see a group number box here, and then you'll see three buttons which gives you access to these particular resources: the individual activities, investing simulation, and the life and money simulation. Now, one of the things you're going to have to do is join a group. So when you first join, this box here, this drop-down selector, will be empty, and you'll have the choice to join a group. And so you'll be provided with a group number. That group number will be given to you by your teacher or instructor, trainer, facilitator, or whoever's managing your self-directed course. And when you join that group, it will turn on one, two, or all three of these resources that you see down the middle here: the individual activities, investing simulation, life and money simulation. So based on the settings of the group, which are set by the person who set up the course, they may give you access to all three of these or just one. They may also give you multiple group numbers to join. So they might give you a group number to start, which might only give you access, let's say, to the individual activities, and then they might give you a second group number that might give you access to the life and money simulation, or some combination thereof. So it's important to know that you will not be able to access these three sections or these three components until you enter a group number up here, and you have to get that group number from your instructor or trainer, facilitator, or the person leading your course. So when we first start out, again, depending how you want to go through the program, you can dive directly into the individual activities. You can go into investing or life and money simulation, or you can review the learning guides, tutorials, and help. And I'm going to recommend we look at the learning guide, tutorials, and help first, because that provides us some good reference materials to start with. I should also mention that the investing simulation that you see here, this option, that may also be included in the life and money simulation. So again, depending on how your group has been set up, the life and money simulation could have all of the same options and features that are included in investing simulation, all bundled together with the personal finance or life and money components as well. This option, the investing simulation, this is available if an instructor just wants you to participate in an investing only simulation with no personal finance decisions to make at all. So if it's just investing, just stocks, bonds, mutual funds, real estate, and gold, you might just play an investing only simulation. Whereas if it's broader than that, that's where you would actually play the life and money simulation. The individual activities are very specific activities, generally can be very brief, from a few minutes to maybe half an hour to complete. And they might be activities like preparing a net worth statement or understanding deductions on a paycheck. So very short, brief, specific activities that are helpful to know and perhaps do before you enter a full life and money simulation. Not necessarily required, but helpful. Well, let's start by going to Learning Guides, Tutorial, and Help. So here we'll see a list of resources that are available to us. So the first is some tutorials. So you see there's a simulation overview video, and I can click that and launch into a video. And there may be new videos added by the time you look at this particular training video that we're doing here. Also, one thing to note in GoVenture is that in GoVenture, anything that is orange is clickable. So all links that are orange are clickable, and you'll see buttons that are clickable as well. So as I scroll down, I can see there's a learning guide, there's an e-workbook, online activities, there's videos, your story simulation, an instructor guide, and if you need help, you click on that button and you can reach our team that can help you with any technical issues that you may have. So if I scroll back to the top, let's take a look at the learning guide first. So the learning guide is a very detailed, very comprehensive guide, text-based, that describes everything you need to know about financial literacy, personal finance, and investing. It is over 70,000 words of text, which is equivalent to a 300 to 400 page book. So, most people, you're not going to necessarily read this from start to finish. There's a lot there. Instead, it's really helpful as a reference. So when you're doing the other resources in GoVenture, you'll see in some cases there are links directly to this learning guide. So if you want to take a deeper dive or learn more about a particular topic, you can click that link and it'll take you directly to the section in the learning guide here that addresses it, so you can learn more about it. Of course, if you do want to browse through the learning guide and review it on your own step by step, that's certainly available to you as well, and it works on all devices including mobile phones. So even if you have a small interface, small display, you'll still be able to read this well. And what I'm looking at here is the table of contents, so you can see everything is organized well and linked, and if you see something of interest, you can click on it and it'll jump you down to that particular section, and you can read about that section. And once you finish reading it, you can scroll back to the top, and there's usually a top link here. You can click on that and it jumps you right back to the table of contents. Now the other thing you'll notice in the learning guide is at the end of every main section you'll see activities. So you see here section 1, section 1.5, that subsection is activities. Section 2, the last section is activities. Section 3, last section is activities. Let's jump down one of those. Now activities are PDF printable activities that you can do. So now normally, let me go ahead and click on one of these. So this is what they look like. So they'll have a place for your name, a due date, a grade, and some type of activity. In this case, it's a definition based activity where you would see a word and then you would write in, with a pencil or pen, you'd write in what the definition of the activity of that word is. And of course, all of these definitions are found in the learning guide. So normally these PDF activities are assigned by teachers in a course. So it's not necessarily something that you're expected to do on your own. It certainly can be helpful and help you learn more about what it is you want to learn about, but in most cases these are going to be assigned by instructors as part of a longer term course. If you're doing this as self-directed, you can certainly refer to these, but you're probably not going to do them. We actually only have we do provide answer keys, but they're normally only provided to instructors. So again, if you're doing this on self-directed learning, you're probably not going to use these resources very much. But again, you can refer to them if you find it helpful. All right, so that's our learning guide. Let's go back to our main page here. Scroll down further. Then we have an e-workbook, and the e-workbook is kind of an online e-learning module, and it introduces you to the basics of life and money. So as I mentioned, the learning guide that we just saw a moment ago is 70,000 words, 300 to 400 pages, which is obviously too much for you to just read from start to finish. It's better as a reference guide. The e-workbook is really great to start with, and just click through it, read everything. It's large text, very easy to read, and it introduces you to the basics of life and money. It only takes probably about 2 hours to go through. In fact, let's go ahead and click on that, and we'll take a look at it. Here it is here, Personal Finance Literacy e-workbook. And I won't read all this. You can do that when you're doing it on your own, but it takes you through everything in a summary format. So instead of the 300 to 400 pages of the learning guide, down to essentially 1/10 of that. And the way it works is it presents a concept in large font, large text like you can see here, and you would flip through, and then at the end of every section, and each section is very short, at the end of every section there's a very simple activity to help reinforce for you what you just learned in the previous section. So these simple activities, they're basic, but they can be very effective in reinforcing what it is that you want to learn. And you'll notice at the bottom, of the workbook is a button that says Learn More, and if you click on that, it will take you to our learning guide. And as I mentioned earlier, it will not only take you to the learning guide, it will link you directly to the section that is most relevant to what you were just reading, with even more information about that topic. So you start with the workbook, do the activities, you want to learn more, you click on the Learn More, and you can just keep going through this e-workbook. And the e-workbook will save your progress, so if you spend a few minutes with it now and then quit and come back another time, it will continue from where you left off. All right, let's go back to our list here. So we've looked at the workbook. Online activities. So these are individual activities. In fact, let me switch back. Oh no, we'll stay here. Online activities. There's 10 of them, and you'll see here life plan, my money profile, a net worth activity, budget, cash flow, buy, sell, and so on. And what you can do is you can review each activity. The life plan is the most fun one because you actually get to build your life plan, but the other ones are simple exercises that help you understand key concepts of financial literacy, like building a net worth statement, for example. So what you can do is you can click on this and you can read about how to do the activity. It also gives you any background information that you need to do the activity itself. So if you have to, if you want to understand what a net worth activity is, it actually explains to you what net worth is here. So you don't actually have to go anywhere else or reference anything else to look at this activity. So what we're looking at here is basically the guide to doing the activities, but the activities themselves you would access from your dashboard. So here we go. Here's the individual activities we've just been looking at. So what we would do is we would click on these, and now you can see there are the activities. So if I want to do a net worth exercise, I can come here and actually do the exercise here. Now there's generally two ways to do the net worth statement. One is you can do it on your own personal life using your own numbers and data. But if you're still learning about what net worth is, or maybe you're young and you don't really have a lot of assets and liabilities to use as part of this activity, what we have is we have a fictional character called Mo Money. And Mo, if I scroll back to the online activities here, if I scroll down to the bottom, you'll see there's section 11, Mo Money Profile. So Mo is a fictional character, and we have his profile written out here. And based on his profile, you can do all of the 10 activities. And so his profile is well written to give you the exact information you need to do all 10 of the activities that we've looked at here. So for example, if you review Mo's profile, you'll see Mo's assets and liabilities, and you can actually build a net worth statement using Mo's information. And if you're taking this in a self-directed course, you'll be provided with the correct answers, so you can compare what you did with what the correct answers are for Mo's profile. Then if I click back here, I can access all 10 of the activities that I want to do. As I mentioned, one of the most interesting ones is the life plan, and the life plan has a number of goals that you might want to achieve in your life. For example, maybe you want to buy a smartphone or a bicycle, or get a job, or buy a car, or take a vacation. And what you can do is you can drag an icon on this 20-year timeline. You see there's a timeline of 20 years. The first year is monthly, and then the rest are essentially yearly. And you can drag the goal along the timeline, let it go, and then it asks you questions about that goal. You don't actually have to fill any of these in, but of course the more info you do fill in, the clearer picture you'll get of your life plan. And so you can do this with as many goals as you like. And again, there is a Mo Money profile that you can use to do this for Mo himself, or you can do it for yourself as well. So that's where the 10 activities, individual activities, come in here. So let's go back to our list of tutorials and guides. We also have a video section. So in the video section, you click on that. What we've done is we found really great videos that are available on the internet. So some of them are offered by PBS Television or Stanford University or TED Talks. And if you look through, you'll see a really interesting list of videos. There's maybe 100, 200 videos here. And you can see the topic, and everything's organized by topic. And basically you click on the link and it takes you to that particular website that offers that video for you to review. And if we go to the table of contents, you can see the contents are organized by topic, and you can click on any topic, jump down, and see the videos available in that topic. And you can also see which videos have closed captions. That's what this little icon is. So if you need closed captions, you can see the videos that do support that as well. So videos are a great way to enhance what you're learning, and it helps mix it up too. So if you're doing some reading, if you're doing some activities, doing some videos, it can help you stay engaged in your learning. Then we have a Your Story simulation. So the Your Story simulation, in fact, that's probably the Your Story simulation is probably the best place to start your learning, because it is a simple text-based simulation. It's story-based. So it keeps you engaged and it's interesting, but it introduces really simple concepts in a fun way. So if I click on the Your Story simulation, it will launch into the simulation itself. And this is, again, really simple. It's based on a story of your life or your fictional life, and it walks you through things that might happen in your life. So this story is about you. You live in GoVenture City. Your goal is to live your life and achieve your dreams. And you start off living at home with your family and will soon graduate from school. And so basically you would read through the story, and every so often it'll introduce you to some important things that are happening in your fictitious life here, and ask you to make some choices as well as you go through. So it's a really fun way to learn the basics using a narrative story. It takes about 2 hours to go through. Again, this simulation will also save your progress. And so if you can only play it for a short period of time and you have to leave and come back, your progress will automatically be saved, and it'll take you right back to where you left off. All right, let's go back to our tutorials and guides. Keep going. And we have an instructor guide. So if you're an instructor, trainer, facilitator, you'll find the instructor guide to be very useful to you. It explains all of the resources, much like I'm doing now, and provides additional links to other information, including a very detailed curriculum guide that'll help match up how to use GoVenture in your specific needs. So for example, if you have 10 hours or 20 hours or 5 hours or 40 or over 100 hours of curriculum time you'd like to fill with using GoVenture, it will actually identify all of the individual resources and how you could potentially use them to provide that curriculum time. And then again, at the bottom is if you need technical help, click on that, and you'll contact our team, and we can help you with any technical info that you need. So let's scroll back to the top and review this again. So the list of learning guides and activities that we have here. So we have the learning guide, which is the 70,000 word, 300 to 400 pages, a reference guide to everything you need to know about personal financial literacy and investing. We have an e-workbook, which introduces you to the basics in just a couple of hours of flipping through this e-workbook and doing really simple exercises, activities that are at the end of each section. So the e-workbook is a great place to start your learning. The online activities are 10 different activities you may want to do to enhance what you've learned from the e-workbook, or from the Your Story simulation. We have videos which are really helpful and fun to review, and certain concepts, if you prefer to learn things through video, that can help you. The Your Story simulation, another great place to start your learning. I'd probably recommend you start with Your Story first, the Your Story simulation first, and then when you complete that, do the e-workbook. And then when you complete that, or while you're doing that, you may review some videos, you may want to do some of the individual activities, and then you'll be ready to dive into the simulation. And then again, the instructor guide and help. So let's go back to our dashboard. So there's our individual activities, our investing simulation, our life and money simulation. So as I was describing earlier, the investing simulation option here is if you want to do an activity based on investing only. So no personal finance decisions, nothing like that, just investing. This is when you would do the investing simulation game. Or if you want to do the full experience with all the personal financial literacy decisions and living your life, that's where the life and money simulation comes in. And again, depending how this is set up for you based on the group that you joined, the life and money simulation can have certain things customized within it, so your experience might be a little bit different than others. But what I'm going to do is we've already looked at the individual activities. I won't go into the investing simulation because essentially it's already included in the life and monies, and we can access it access the same features from there. So I'm going to dive into the life and money simulation. Okay, so everyone starts this simulation in the same place. So a certain amount of starting cash, and the simulation can be played for up to 20 years. This is customizable by the trainer, facilitator who created your group. So you may start with more money than this, and your simulation may be set for a shorter duration, because it could be set anywhere from 1 year to 20 years. And 20 is the maximum that you can play any one simulation, but you can actually play the simulation multiple times if you join multiple groups. So you'll notice I've already been playing it, so I have an option here of resuming where I left off, and in most cases that's what you're going to click. So again, it saves your progress as you play, and then when you come back to it at any time, you can resume. In some cases, depending how your group is set up, you may also have the option to start over. So starting over will erase all of your results. So you want to be careful when you use this. You only want to use it if you really truly want to start over. When do you want to start over? Well, maybe if you've started and you really haven't really made some great decisions and you're not headed in the right direction, maybe that might be a good time to start over. Another opportunity is maybe if you finished the simulation and you enjoyed it and want to do it again and see if you can improve your results or do something differently, that's when you can start over as well. If your trainer or facilitator who created the group has turned this option off, then you will not be able to start over unless they either manually reset your account, which they can do, or they may give you a different group number, and when you're given a different group number, you may be able to start a fresh simulation. Every group is completely different, so when you are given a different group number, you're essentially starting fresh in that group. So let's go ahead and resume. And one thing we should mention is you want to make sure that your zoom level is set to 100% in your browser, and that will make sure that everything appears in the proper layout, and things aren't kind of bleeding beyond the screen or anything like that. So let's go ahead and resume. So now, if this was the first time I was starting this simulation, it would start with a tutorial, and the tutorial would walk us through step by step all of the key decisions and options within the simulation itself, and it won't let us actually stray from that tutorial. So it's a very helpful tutorial. It takes about 15-20 minutes to get through the tutorial itself, but the tutorial is not separate from the simulation. It's actually in line with the simulation itself. So the things you do in the tutorial are things you're doing in the simulation itself. So it's not like you're starting over. It's actually part of the experience. It's just a guided part of that first 15 to 20 minutes, just to make sure that you understand all the features and options available to you, because this is a very, very comprehensive experience. So the premise of the life and money simulation is you get to live your life in this simulated city called GoVenture City and make all of the financial and life decisions that you want to make. And everybody starts the simulation in the same place. You are 6 months away from graduating high school. So you're a senior in high school, you have 6 months remaining, and in that 6-month period of time, you're encouraged to get a part-time job so you can start saving some money, and you can use that money for what's going to come next. So once you complete and graduate high school, because you're currently in the simulation, you're living at home, so your expenses are very minimal. But as soon as you graduate high school, you're expected to move out into your own place, and so you'll be able to look around for an apartment or home that you can afford to move into. Hopefully you will have gotten a part-time job and saved some money to open up some more options for you. You may also choose to enhance and continue your education. You may want to go to college and take a trade or business program or some other program. You may want to do a 2-year diploma, or you may want to pursue a 4-year degree, and you can, in the simulation, you can actually pursue master's level degrees and PhDs and so on. As you expand your education, you'll find that the job opportunities available to you will increase. So there'll be more job opportunities, and some of those jobs will pay better than others. So education can pay off in the simulation just like it can in the real world, but you're not required necessarily to pursue that path. You can take whatever path you want to take in the simulation that you want. Now, in some cases, there'll be goals that you will have to achieve. So let's take a look at that as our first step in reviewing the simulation. So along the bottom is our menu system, and this allows us to access different areas of the simulation. And you'll also notice again at the very bottom is a Learn button, and if I click this button, it will take me to the learning guide. So remember that very comprehensive learning guide that we've already reviewed. It will take us to the learning guide and whatever particular section of the learning guide we are reading about or practicing in the simulation itself. So let's take a look at goals. So the goals are set by my simulation manager. So whoever created this particular group and invited me to join this group has set a specific goals for me to achieve in the simulation. So if you're doing this as part of a instructor-led course or trainer-led course, you'll want to make sure to achieve all the goals because your grade is likely dependent on you doing so. If you're doing this for self-directed learning, you'll want to review what was included in the course as a guide related to the goal. So the course may suggest to you that you should try to achieve the goals if you want, but it's really up to you whether you want to do so or not. Again, make sure you follow the instructions provided in your course because it can affect your grade. So you'll see here I have a number of goals, and there's a little scroll bar here. So there's a few dozen different goals that I am expected to achieve. All goals in this case are listed as required. Oh, there's one optional here. So an optional goal means I don't necessarily have to achieve it, but I might earn more points if I do. So let's take a look at the goals. So the first goal at the top, and by the way, the goals are not in any priority order. The goals are just a list of goals, and it's really up to you to determine what order you want to achieve them in. And some of them you'll naturally see can be achieved before others, or they're essentially prerequisites for other goals. So the first one is pretty simple. It says donate $40 or more. So donating is part of giving back to society, and you have the option in the simulation to donate as much money as you want. And in this case, the goal is to donate $40 or more. And so if you do that, you'll achieve that goal, and you'll see a little green check mark like we see with this second goal, which is to buy a bond. So this is a financial bond. If we buy one by year 1, week 5, we will achieve that goal. In this case, I have achieved it, so you see a little green check mark, and you can also see it's now bold. It also shows me when it was actually achieved. It was achieved in year 1, week 1. And that happens to actually be part of the tutorial. It's one of the things you'll do in the the guided tutorial. And I can receive a certain number of points based on that. Now, in my case, I'm seeing 0 points here. That's just because we're doing a demo. But in your case, you will actually see a certain number of points assigned to each goal. And so what's important for you as a player is to visit this screen often to make sure that you are focused on the goals that you need to achieve, and that you are achieving them by the time indicated. Now, if you don't achieve them by the time indicated, a couple of things can happen. One is you may get no points at all. So if you miss anything even by a week, you may get no points. Or the points may actually be slowly reduced. So there may be a grace period where maybe if you're a week or two late achieving a goal, you may still get some of the points, but not all of the points. That really depends on how it's set up by the facilitator, instructor, or trainer who set up this particular group. So you'll have to reference their grading rubric to figure out what the grace period, if any, might be on a particular goal. While we're on the screen, we can also see there's a performance report, and we can review a more detailed performance report that has all sorts of information about our achievements while playing the simulation. So let's get back to the main simulation. And again, the premise here is we live our life for up to 20 virtual years, making financial decisions and trying to achieve our goals. And we make our decisions using the menu at the bottom. So let's take a quick look at some of these options. But first, let's look at the smartphone. So the smartphone is our news device. It will show us news about what's happening in the world. In some cases, it might be financial news. In other cases, it might be an advertisement encouraging us to buy a lottery ticket or something like that, just like we're exposed to in the real world. And we can look at older news items just by using the buttons here to flip through previous weeks. Now, one of the things that's important to note is the simulation runs in weeks. So it doesn't run in days, it runs in weeks. So you'll see the simulation will advance 1 week at a time. And it's designed to have 4 weeks in a month. And for simplicity, it has 48 weeks in a year. Real world, of course, has 52 weeks. But for simplicity, we have 48 weeks in the simulation. And so you can see on the time advance button here, I'm currently in week 7, and I'm in year 1 of 20. So the simulation is designed to run for 20 years, and I'm in week 7. The simulation advances every time I click this button. In fact, I'm going to do that right now. I'm going to advance to the next week. So let me do that. So you see a little animation appears that shows as a calendar going through the weeks. And we've now advanced to the next week. And what happens now is things have happened behind the scenes in the simulation. We've gotten a new news report here. You may have noticed a little flutter of points here that occurred here, and I'll explain that in a moment. But if I have a job, maybe my pay has arrived because I get paid every 2 weeks. And so maybe I've just gotten paid. Or if I have rent to pay at the end of every month, maybe my rent is now due. So all the decisions, the financial decisions I'm making while running the simulation, they will be tied to the clock or the time in the simulation. The good news is I have as much time as I want in the current week to make whatever decisions I want to make. So I'm not pressured to move quickly. I can take my time, make my decisions, and then click the clock when I want to advance. The only thing that will apply time pressure on me is if, as part of my course, I am expected to play the simulation for a certain period of time. So let's say my instructor might suggest that I have to complete 5 years of the simulation, by the end of the week. In that case, I want to make sure I devote enough time playing the simulation to achieve that time goal. I mentioned there's a little flutter of points at the end of the week here, so you'll notice these 4 charts here. These are what are called experience points. In fact, if I click on this, it'll bring up a chart, and I can earn experience points. There are 4 types of experience points: health experience, education experience, job experience, and life experience. And I earn points by doing activities related to health, education, job, and life. And earning experience points may be part of the goals that I have to achieve. So it's an interesting way to follow the things that you've been doing in the simulation to see if you've been getting the most of the simulation by trying to maximize your experience points in all of the areas. And again, it may be there may be a certain minimum you have to achieve based on the goals set. So now we're going to look at the other options in the menu. We'll look at cash and banking. So here you have your banking. So you have cash on hand, you have a checking account, a savings account, and an emergency fund, and you can move money between these accounts using the buttons and options here. I won't explain the details of what these all means, because that's part of your learning process, and you can reference the workbook and the learning guide that'll explain in more detail about banking and when you should use these options and so on. But this is basically the banking screen in the simulation. You can also view your transaction history, so anything that you've paid or anything that's due, you can see anything that any money essentially that's gone in or out of your bank account, you can see here. And you can also apply for loans. So if you need to get a loan, for a personal loan, if you want to get a student loan, a mortgage for a home, or a loan for a car, you can actually do it from this screen. We can look at our net worth. So as part of your learning, you're going to learn what a net worth statement is, which is essentially assets minus liabilities. And the simulation automatically tracks your net worth in real time as you play. So it's a really great way to reference if your net worth is growing over time the way you hope and expect that it would. And you'll notice again, anything that's orange is clickable. So if I see here, wait a minute, I've got bills due, $15 worth, I can click on that and it takes me directly to the bills due section. But we'll go back and show you another way to get there. So that's net worth. We have investments. I'll skip over that for now. Bills and credit. So this is back to where our bills are due. So we can see bills that are due. So right now my only bill is a monthly banking fee of $15. And just to make it easy to pay this, I can just click on these options right now. If I want to pay the full amount, I can click 100% and it'll pay it fully. If I want to only pay half, I can click 50%, or a quarter, 25%. So these are nice quick ways of paying bills, because you're gonna have a lot of bills due as you live your life, and we want to make it nice and easy for you to pay them. Now, of course, the first thing I have to do is choose how I'm going to pay. So you'll notice I have money in cash, I have money in my checking account, I have no money in savings and no emergency fund. So I can pay this bill out of cash. So I'm going to choose cash, and then I'm going to pay the entire bill. There we go. And now I have no payments due. So that's great, no bills due. I can also review my payment history on anything I've paid in the past as well. I have a credit card. So I haven't graduated high school yet, so I haven't been issued a credit card, but when I do graduate, I'll immediately be issued a credit card with a certain amount that I can apply to the card, and it has a certain interest rate. And of course, I want to make sure that if I use my credit card, that I use it responsibly and I repay the balance that's due when it's due. And if I do pay my bills on time, if I do manage my credit well, I'll have a credit rating that will improve over time, and it's helpful to have a good credit rating. I can review any loans that I may have. So again, I can have student loans, car loans, mortgages for home. If I do have those, they'll be reviewed here. And at the end of every year, like any good citizen, I have to pay my taxes. Taxes help make the government run and provide us the services that we need as a society. And so here I can monitor the taxes that are due and payable. And I can also see any payroll taxes that have been deducted and what the income taxes are. And income tax does change based on the level of income that I have earned or received. All right, let's go back. So that's bills and credit. We can see budget and cash flow. So budget is another important concept in financial literacy and managing money. And I can see a real-time budget and cash flow here. And again, I won't explain these because this is what you're going to learn through the many resources that are available. Another big section here is life and money. So life and money has a number of options within it. So we can see our basic living expenses. So you can see I'm living at home, so my expenses are essentially zero. That's going to change as soon as I graduate high school. I'm going to have to go live on my own, and then I can choose, how luxuriously or how frugally I want to live my life. And of course, if I don't have money, it doesn't matter how luxurious I want to live my lifestyle. If I don't have money, I can't afford to do it. So I might start off with just the essentials, and then slowly, as my income grows, maybe I can live a more comfortable financial life. We can buy and sell items. So there's many different items that we can buy and sell. So for example, we can buy clothing or jewelry, and I can also click the next button here and flip through the different things that I can buy. So for example, if I want to buy a basketball, I can click on it and I can see what the price is, and there's tax associated with buying that particular item as well. And I can also see things like depreciation, or if there's any XP that I might earn by buying this item, and so on. So I can build up essentially a small asset list of items that I'd like to own. Going back to life and family, we can decide if we want to have a life partner, and if we want to have a life partner, do we want to have a ceremony, and how big should that ceremony be? You know, a lot of people like to have big ceremonies, big weddings that are pretty costly. You have to consider you know, how you're going to pay for that in this simulation. And so you can, you know, add a life partner at any time in the simulation. Children independence, so you can add children to your life, which will hopefully make your life more fulfilling, but it also costs money to raise a child. And so that will occur in the simulation if you choose it. And keep in mind that things like growing your family may be part of the goals that are required of you in the goals section that we saw earlier. We can monitor our health. So our health is based on the experience points, the health experience points that we generate. And we can increase health by, you know, maybe walking places or bicycling to places instead of you know, driving a car, for example, or buying certain items like you know, fitness items will help increase our health experience as well. I can take a vacation at any time. Of course, I have to be able to afford it, but there's different vacations. You can click on them to see the different options, and you can buy a vacation when you're ready to do so. And you can also plan for retirement, so this will allow you to do some simple math, or the simulation will do the math for you, and help you understand how much money you might need to save over your lifetime in order to retire with the lifestyle that you want to achieve. So that's our life and family. Before we go to investments, we'll look at a few other options. There's jobs. So you can see here I have a job, and my job with a little check mark shows me it's a cashier, and it shows me what my yearly salary is, my biweekly pay, my employment deductions, income tax deductions, and so on, how much experience points the job is providing, and everything that I need to know about the job. So this job is paying me a certain amount, in this case $367 every 2 weeks. And I can quit the job if I don't want it anymore. I can try to change jobs, and you'll see that there's a whole list of different jobs, and the jobs are based on the type of education you need. So you see here, if you have a PhD, which, you know, it's not many people have, but if you do, you can actually get a job as a doctor or a university professor or surgeon and so on. And generally there might be a higher salary associated with jobs like that. So, you know, if you have, when you're starting out and you have no education, no formal education, not even high school education, the jobs that you may have available are limited, and potentially the income you'll generate from those jobs tend to be a little bit lower as well, or a lot lower depending on what you're comparing it to. If you want to upgrade your education, you click on the education area, education icon, and you can see that you're currently trying to get a high school diploma, but then as you achieve that diploma, right now you'll notice there's a little lock icon because I cannot go to college because I don't have my high school diploma yet, but as soon as I do, these other options will unlock. And if I want to get a trade diploma, for example, you can see it's 2 years, costs $15,000 at 30 hours per week. And so that's if I do it full-time. In some cases I can also do part-time. Now the benefit of full-time versus part-time is with part-time I can get a part-time job and earn money through my part-time job. If it's a full-time education, I cannot get a full-time job. Let's go back. And so now we're going to click a few more icons that are here. This is my credit rating. So as I mentioned earlier, if you pay your loans off, your credit card, your credit rating will improve, and you can see the liabilities here that contribute to your credit rating. This is our commuting options. So right now I'm walking everywhere, and you'll notice that it's taking me 3 hours a day, that's every day, to walk, because I might have to walk to school, might have to walk to work, to the gym, to socialize with my friends. So it's taking a lot of time out of my day. But in the benefit, I'm getting health experience points, because the more I walk, the healthier I might become. So Walking has its benefits, but it also has a drawback in that it takes more time. I can upgrade, for example, to bicycling, which might reduce my time, or bus, public transit, but there's a cost associated. So I have to go and buy a bicycle, or I have to buy a transit pass, for example, or I can buy an automobile. But again, there's more costs, but it will save me time. And then the other option we have here is our time. And this will show and allow us to choose how we want to allocate our daily time. And so you can see there's 7 options here. We can, in this case, because I'm in school full-time, I have to allocate a minimum of 7 hours to my education. I can allocate more, and if I allocate more, it will increase my education experience. But I'm going to leave it at 7 for now. I have a job. It's part-time, so it's 4 hours a week. I can allocate time to sleeping and personal care and nutrition, so that's a minimum of 8 if you kind of combine all those things in a day. But I can, if I like a little bit longer sleep, I can increase my time here. But if I do, I'm going to have to sacrifice something else, because there's only 24 hours in a day, as you can see here. And so as I adjust any of these, the 24 will adjust, and I have to make sure it's matching 24. And you can see here's the commute. Because I'm walking, it's a fixed 3 hours. I cannot change that unless I go and choose a faster commuting option. So this allows me to adjust my daily time, and it's also a useful learning experience to see what the compromises are of how you invest your time. And time is a very important decision in your life. And then finally we'll go to investments. And so here I have a few options. One is gambling, and it's important to recognize that gambling is not an investment. It's essentially considered entertainment because the likelihood of winning are very low, but it is part of real life, so it's included in the simulation here. And you can buy a lottery ticket and see if you win. Of course, the odds of winning are very low, just like the real world, but you can do that if you like. You can donate money. As we saw earlier, making a small donation was one of the goals in this particular simulation that I'm playing. But it's really up to me whether I want to donate and how much I want to donate. And then finally we have investments. So investments is one way to make your money work for you and make your money grow. And so if I click on investments, I can see there's stocks, bonds, mutual funds, real estate, and precious metals. I've already invested in some stocks and bonds, and so you can see some of the performance that's going on here. I can look at the markets by clicking on the markets button, and if I want to invest in any particular security, I can click on it. For example, stocks, and you can see here there are a number of stocks. These are fictitious stocks, but they perform like real world stocks, and they will their prices will adjust over the period of time in which I'm playing the simulation, and their prices will adjust based on what's happening in the economy. Same with bonds, mutual funds, real estate, and precious metals, which in this case is gold. They will what affects them is things like the economy. So if I go to the economy, I'll see there are economic indicators like economic growth, inflation, unemployment, and prime rate, and these will influence the performance of investments. For example, historically, when interest rates go up, the prices of bonds may tend to go down. There's a reason for that. You can read about that in the learning guide and other resources available here. But generally what happens in the real world will happen in the simulation, because the investment data is actually based on real world historical data that aligns with the economic indicators that happen in the simulation itself. But the real benefit of having all this in a simulation is you can experience many, many years of economic ups and downs and fluctuations over time, so you can really get an understanding of how money grows and potentially shrinks using different types of investments. And so you can monitor your portfolio and your return on investment in that portfolio as you play the simulation. So that's all the main areas of the simulation. Again, the premise now is you live your life. You can go in any direction that you want to go in, make whatever decisions you want to make. Again, keep in mind the goals here that you may be required to achieve based on the course that you're taking, and live your life week by week, year by year, and hopefully achieve as much as you'd like, whatever your path in life tends to be. So, we've reviewed GoVenture and all of the many resources and components involved with the program. As you can see, is very comprehensive, and you can take the path that we've recommended for you, or take whatever path is most comfortable for you. Our hope is that you will gain the insight and the wisdom to make the best personal financial literacy decisions you can make to achieve your goals in life. Thanks for listening.